brilliant, glorious, hopeful, optimistic story. You never see them with a defeatist attitude of like, well, we got to bunker down because times are going to get hard.
Right.
Share Truth, Apply Scripture every Saturday at 5:30 p.m. Central on AFR, or catch the podcast anytime at afr.net.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. Erie County in western New York is being hit with a massive snowstorm, with already a foot of snow on the ground in Buffalo. Madeline Rivera reports from Buffalo.
Just 30 minutes south in Hamburg, they're seeing nearly 3 feet of snow. And that's why the response of local officials, that has differed as well. For example, here in Buffalo, the travel ban has been lifted. There's still a travel advisory, but that is a downgrade from a travel ban. But for example, in central parts of Erie County, they're still under a travel ban. And that's why people are being advised to stay off the roads, because the conditions do change. We've seen crews working all morning trying to clean the roads. They are working 24/7 doing this cleanup.
Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan and other House Republicans on Thursday outlined their plans to investigate the Biden family over national security concerns. Jordan says they want to counter claims that this is just Russian disinformation.
We're not going to let them get away with it. We're going to get the facts out there. But they tend to get away with it because the mainstream press just trumpets whatever they say. This is not about getting anybody. This is about getting the facts to the American people, which is part of our constitutional duty. And it's about making sure that we don't have a Justice Department that is operating in a political fashion, which we know it currently is. It's about stopping that. That's the focus.
The Latah County coroner confirms that the 4 students killed Sunday near the University of Idaho were stabbed to death. Dan Springer in Moscow, Idaho, with more.
More information is trickling out from those autopsies. There are now 2 reports that each of the victims was stabbed more than once, and the coroner telling me that it was likely the same knife used on all 4 of the victims. Here at the rental house where those 4 students were murdered, we saw another full crime scene investigation conducted yesterday. This time, it was not Moscow PD, but rather Idaho State Patrol and the FBI. In fact, we're told there's a team from the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit here. We saw evidence techs taking pictures and doing fresh swabs of the grisly crime scene.
Lawmakers in Texas plan to take action soon to protect children. Charlie Butts has more.
The Texas legislature goes into session in January, and members plan to tackle the issue of transgender treatment of children. Jonathan Covey of Texas Values tells AFN gender transition services are permanent and life-altering choices.
And the person under 18 doesn't have sufficient maturity or capacity to make decisions about the irreversible consequences to their bodies.
Texas is one of a number of states that want to bar the treatments in mutilation surgery, and Covey says common sense explains why.
I mean, for example, no child is legally permitted to consume alcohol in any state. In Texas, you can't get a tattoo if you're a minor. And in Texas, we have a new law that says you can't even buy cough syrup over the counter unless you can prove you're at least 18.
Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton have called for legislation, both considering the practice child abuse. And Paxton has also asked the members of the legislature to include a provision allowing his office to prosecute violations if local district and county attorneys refuse to do so. I'm Charlie Butts.
An airbag issue prompts the recall of some Tesla models. Lillian Wu has more.
Some 30,000 Tesla Model X cars are being recalled because their front passenger airbags may deploy incorrectly during some low-speed crashes. The issue, a calibration of a restraint control module or set of sensors, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The fix is an over-the-air software update. Last week, the electric vehicle maker recalled over 40,000 Model S and Model X vehicles due to the risk of experiencing a loss of power steering assist when driving on rough roads or after hitting a pothole. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
Sales of previously occupied U.S. homes fell in October for the 9th month in a row to the slowest pre-pandemic sales pace in more than 10 years. The National Association of Realtors said today that existing home sales fell 5.9% last month from September. More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
When you hear this,
This is American Family News.
you know what follows is the truth. Your news from a Christian perspective.
Hundreds of teachers are going to have to walk into that school building, and they are forced to swallow political ideology that in many cases violates their very faith and conscience.
If you miss it at the top of the hour, American Family News podcasts are available at afn.net. And sign up for our daily news brief at afn.net.
You know, as Christians, we have to understand and be real with where we are.
That's what we have to see first, individually.
And where our mindset is and what we desire.
Airing the Addisons.
I think what God is really calling us back to, it's those individual personal revivals in our own lives where we're like, oh Lord, what have we done? We have minimized you.
Promoting truth, wisdom, and empowerment.
As the church, man, we should be on the forefront of making disciples, of indoctrination and godly things.
If we don't train our kids, they will not be able to stand.
Airing the Addisons.
On American Family Radio, thank you so much for listening. It's the Friday edition. We call it the Gumbo Show. Everything goes into the pot. We open the phone lines up like far and wide, and we spend most of our time talking to you about the shows that we've discussed all week long. Let me just say I'm Miki.
And I'm Will.
And we've got J-Mac on tap
Yes.
to help us navigate the show, but we've got a first time. I don't think that we've had another one of our show navigators on who's helping us today. Now, my habit and my tradition is to nickname people, okay? Because, well, frankly, I enjoy it, okay? There's no other reason. It doesn't have to happen. I just like it. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But this might be a first that I actually think that this person doesn't really need a nickname. There's actually a nickname kind of in the name as it is. Okay. So we've got Dr. Youngblood, who is going to be screening your calls, but this is sort of a nickname, but it's really not. And actually, when I say it out loud, it's kind of scary to me. Okay. So, okay. But I feel like it's a fitting nickname. But just for our listeners, don't Google this name because it might be some rapper's name or something like that. I don't know what'll come up. No, D Youngblood.
D Youngblood.
D Youngblood. I feel like that right there is your name when you work on Airing the Addisons. D Youngblood. But now, don't anybody Google that though. Don't look it up because I don't know if that's somebody else's name and if they have a criminal history. I don't know. So like I just you don't. Yeah, it sounds it's cool and all, you know, if you've got a gold tooth. Dr. Youngblood, do you have a gold tooth? Do you have a grill? Do you have anything that we can put on the page just to show people that you're worthy of that name, D Youngblood? Anyway, it's so funny. You know, there's such a generation gap, and I think about like the jokes that I make with our kids. Yeah. And I can't remember because Sam Witt recently got a fish, and he was trying to think of what to name that fish. Do you remember? I came up with I gave him a crazy rap name for the fish. It was something like G Money or something like that. One of those like rap names that just, and he was like, no, I don't like that. And I was like, no, just here's the thing. When we get home, just tell Dad that's what you're naming your fish. And he just didn't get it. He was just like, no, I don't like it. I'm like, no, you don't have to like it. It will make your father laugh. Just tell him that your fish is G Money. Like, just tell him. And no. So anyway, he settled on Crusher. The name Crusher. Of the fish is Crusher.
Yeah.
All right. Let me just say something here real quick. This is a Friday show, and this is what we do. I don't know why I have to whisper this. I guess because it's kind of tragic. So this is the second fish.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So the first fish sadly passed on.
Yes.
Okay. Within 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. That was. Yeah.
Now, that fish was called bluefin. which was really, really cool. Really,
Yeah.
and it fit the fish. It fit
Yeah.
the fin. It fit the fish.
The fin too.
Gefilte fish. It fit the fish. And it was a great name, Bluefin,
Yeah.
and I really think he came into our family with high hopes. I think he thought he was going to make it, right? The problem is he was high maintenance. And you're like, well, how do you know that after just like less than 24 hours? Well, because that's the only way you can make it past 24 hours in this house. To not be high maintenance is how you survive. No, I think the thing is, though, we underestimated the size of the tank that we bought. And so you've got to condition the water.
Right.
So strike one, we put too much water conditioner in for the number of gallons of a size tank that we have, which, by the way, is just 1 gallon. I think
Right.
That's why math matters. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so that was the one thing. And then we didn't properly float the fish. That is to say, we didn't do it at all. You see that? I could have been a politician. We may have not properly floated the fish, and then over in parentheses, you see they didn't do it at all. Yeah, we didn't float it at all. And let me tell you why. Because when I remember getting fish, which my first time getting one was in college. That's how you like decorate your room. So when I got a fish, the fish was in a plastic bag. Which begs to be floated. Like it's in a plastic bag. So you go home, you put it in your tank inside the bag. And so we talked to the pet store employees, and they told us that these new betta fish, which is what he has, these new betta fish have been like genetically modified. They've been engineered to, I don't know what they've done. She said that they're not like the old fish. Because I'm like, oh, yeah, I had a betta fish. It was very low maintenance, And she said, well, yeah, these are low maintenance, but they do require care. And I'm like, did they tell you that? Like, how do you know that? Did they tell you that they require care? I don't know. So, but it came in like a little plastic tub. So, I thought, well, they can't expect you to float that, right? Like it didn't.
Yeah.
Come on. You were with me.
Not at the store. Yeah.
No, but
I was with you. Yeah, as we
set up this tank together. Come on now.
I was there.
Okay, and you and I both agreed because you're kind of like over there in the silent section.
No, we agreed that we thought the water was the same temperature.
We're like, yeah, we nailed it. We were incredibly wrong. So we get this. Bluefin. He goes in, and immediately he's swimming around, and we're like, okay, yes, like proverbial high five. We did it. We're great parents, and that was a Saturday night, and then we wake up. And we're going to church the next morning, and Bluefin's not looking good. Like he's okay, but he's not okay. You know what I mean? He's just like, and so I said to Will the Great, once they were starting to move out, and it was just you and I standing there. I think he's on his way out. I don't think he's gonna make it. Like he just didn't have that vigor that You know what fish have. You know what I mean? He didn't have that certain, like, I don't want to be on your plate look. You know what I mean? Like, that look that fish, catch me if you can. He didn't have that.
It wasn't moving a lot.
Not a lot. His fins were. Anyway, and so I thought, oh, man, Sam Wick can't handle this. He can't, because he had a pet snail that he named Shelly.
Oh, boy.
He had a pet snail that would come out of her shell. That he's from Mississippi. Your son.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know that.
People from Mississippi, like I never heard of it either. Pet snail.
But outdoorsy. People in Mississippi are very outdoorsy, and so anyway, he had this pet snail named Shelly, and bless his heart, he was so proud of her. She'd come out of her shell every now and again, and then mostly not. But he had this pet snail that he took outside to see his buddy. And they're looking at, and I told him, I said, no, don't take, this is before Bluefin, right? So I said, don't take Shelly outside. Just leave Shelly inside. I think Shelly's an inside pet. Don't take her outside. So he said, Mom, but please, I just want to show my friend real quick. So I said, okay, buddy, I understand. You want to show off your pet. Right. For 1,000, Alex. So he takes Shelly outside, and he and the friend are looking Shelly over, and Shelly falls, and the friend accidentally steps on Shelly.
Is that why he named the fish Crusher?
Maybe so. Maybe because he's like, you're not going out like that. You're going to be like D Youngblood. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Maybe so. Maybe he wanted a fighter. You know what I mean? So maybe he thought if he named this fish. Well, can I say this, though? Because so then we tried to replace Shelly with Bluefin. Yeah, Bluefin didn't make it. Yeah.
But now,
very sad.
Crusher is like.
So now Crusher is killing it.
Yeah.
I mean, Crusher like
probably
plays
change
with
that
him.
water again, but yeah, he's doing good.
Well, the only reason we had to change the.
Oh, here comes Timmy.
Man, I feel like people are like, man, what kind of household are y'all running?
It's
like,
pretty
what
wild.
kind of operation is this?
Hey,
so
there's a pet turtle too, just to let you know.
There's a pet turtle.
But anyway,
there's a pet turtle. Okay, so the fish, we had to change the water for. This is what makes me think that Crusher is a survivor.
Yeah.
Okay, what makes me think that Crusher is a survivor is that Crusher has been fed yogurt.
Yes. By who?
By Timmy the Magnificent.
By Timmy.
He's been fed yogurt.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I mean? He's had pencils and all kinds of things like dipped in there just to see what he would do. And I think Crusher really wants to live. Yeah. I really do. Like I look at him, he wants to live. He's discovered the art of hiding from potential offenders.
Right. Yes.
So anyway, all of that to say, I don't even know why I was talking about that. Like, how did we get from D Youngblood? Oh, names, nicknames.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't want to go with G Money. He went with Bluefin. Probably G Money would have lived because G Money would have been like street smart and would have survived. But anyway, so yeah, we got Crusher. It's Friday. We're gonna open the phone lines. We're gonna review. But first, let me do this. Let me kind of recap the shows from the week. On Monday, we started out with a great guest. Dr. Erwin Lutzer was our guest to talk about his recent book, No Reason to Hide. And then on Tuesday, we asked the question, stupid parental rights? You know, like parents having the gall, having the audacity to want to educate their kids. Is that stupid? Like, is that, anyway, seems today that many people think it is. Then on Wednesdays with Will the Great, you had an awesome guest on with you, Dr. Jerry Rayner.
Doctor. Yeah.
You can do it. You can do it anytime you want.
I call him Jerry from Tennessee. But yeah, he was on, and we had a great discussion just about the ministry that he's involved in, but just about other things as well, about prayer, about his daughter who's going off to college and searching for colleges that are not woke and stuff like that. Just talking about, those things, but it was a great time.
Yeah, Jerry's our brother, man. I really love Jerry, and I got to listen in a little bit. I didn't hear all of the show, but what I heard was he took a quick jog down memory lane and how he became acquainted with us. And I just love to hear that story. I think it is so funny because when we were doing Urban, there were so many people who would say they would call in or they would write in and say, now I know I'm not your target audience.
Right.
But I just want to say, I know I'm not your, and that seemed to be sort of like the standard greeting. Hey, I'm not your target. And so, man, we were just like, no, if you're listening,
you are our target audience.
You are our target audience. And anyway, that was great. Yesterday, we talked about Disney's wicked attack on the family and how Disney is continuing to march down this road. I think, and this is obviously, I don't need to say that because when you listen, you expect it to be my commentary on where we are with Disney. But I no longer see sitting down at the table with Disney as an option.
Right.
I just don't. That's my opinion. That's my very frank, direct opinion. I don't care if it hurts Disney lovers' feelings. I just don't. Disney has made it very clear that its intent is to advance an agenda. So it's not even a question anymore. It's just, how aggressive will that look? What will that look like? And then, how quickly will your kids be robbed of their innocence? But Disney is not kind of like floating things out there to see if the American people will buy it. They are saying, we actually don't care if you buy it. We actually don't care if you, like it. And I would go a step further. I would say that Disney anticipates that no matter what they do, you will buy it.
Right.
It kind of reminds me of a few years ago, just to use one of Disney's lines, but it reminds me of Mother Gothel from Rapunzel when she wants to break away from Mother Gothel, who has enslaved her in a tower, and she wants to get away. And Mother Gothel says to her, "Where will you go?" Like, where? I think that's what Disney says to us. I really do. I think they're just like, no, we own you. We own your kids. Where will you go? Where will you go? And with all of our consumption all the time, I think we are telling them the opposite of what Rapunzel said. I think we're saying, well, there's really nowhere to go. So we resign. We say, okay, we'll take whatever you sell.
Yeah.
All right. 888-589-8840. Phone lines are open. 888-589-8840. We will grab the break and we'll be right back.
Athletics and life teach us common benefits. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Whether you're working on that golf game or improving your average on the baseball field, you can learn life lessons. But more importantly, you can learn spiritual lessons. 1 Corinthians 9:24 says, "Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize." Jesus Christ gave his life on the cross just so that you can have a personal relationship with him. Receive Jesus Christ now as your Lord and Savior and enjoy the ultimate prize of eternal life. Then you can do what Hebrews 12:1 says. "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." A message from American Family Radio.
Paul writes, when one part of the body suffers, we suffer together. This is Bible League International, and the persecuted church around the world is paying a heavy price simply for following the Lord Jesus Christ. Warlocks burned down the home and shanty church that Emilio pastors in Chiapas, Mexico, near the border of Guatemala. And these male witches, they surrounded the homes of church members so they couldn't leave for 2 weeks. All of this because Christians oppose their pagan worship, but they lovingly share the gospel with those who persecute them. Listen, hundreds have come to Christ, and when I ask these heroes of the faith, how can we pray for you? They never say pray for an end to our suffering because they know God's working through it. What they pray for is that new believers will be able to endure and persevere under tremendous hardship, and you can do that when you can open your own Bible and be reminded of God's precious promises. $5 sends a Bible, $50 sends 10, $500 sends 100. Please, in this season of giving, pray about it and then call 800-YES-WORD. 800-YES-WORD, or give at sendbiblesnow.org. sendbiblesnow.org.
Hey, I'm Hope Darce, and I want you to know that freedom from addiction is possible, and it starts at Adult and Teen Challenge.
I was in a meth-induced coma. My son and my neighbors couldn't get me up. They called the cops, and I knew that if I didn't get something right this time, I was going to lose my son for good. I came to Adult and Teen Challenge, and God has rescued me. He not only shows me the right path to take, but he gives me the strength to do it. God's got huge plans for my life, and I'm really excited. It's something that I've never said before.
For over 60 years, Adult and Teen Challenge has been providing hope and healing for a new, drug-free future through the power of Jesus Christ. They have a variety of programs for men, women, teens, and more in hundreds of centers nationwide. You can find the center nearest you at 855-END-ADDICTION or teenchallengeusa.org. You're listening to American Family Radio.
I got what you need, I promise. Don't hold back, you feel good, honest. Leave your frustrations, no expectations. What's it gonna be? I got what you need, no worries. Won't judge it, I ain't no jerk. Even your wildest, your unsaid, your loudest of dreams. So tell me what you need.
Welcome back to Aaron the Addisons on American Family Radio. We appreciate you listening. It's the Friday edition. We do a little bit of a lighter show. Sometimes not. Sometimes we cover some of the heavy-hitting topics because we also recap what we've talked about during the week, and you are an important part of that. We open the phone lines up. I want to go to the phone lines in just a second here, but I want to share this story with you. Some of our listeners may want to chime in on it. This is just really interesting to me, and you know, do with it what you will. Well, okay, so here we go. San Francisco city officials announced on Wednesday that they would launch a new guaranteed income program for the city's transgender community. Okay, this is information that comes from the Daily Signal. This is very interesting to me. The program, dubbed the Guaranteed Income for Trans People, will provide 55 low-income transgender city residents with $1,200 each per month for up to 18 months. The pilot program is the first of its kind for trans individuals in the city.
Wow.
Though San Francisco has launched several other programs in recent years. Now, let me just share with you really quickly those other two programs. The most recent two programs was the city launched a $1,000 a month payment stipend, I don't know, for a pregnant person. Okay, this is an article here. A pregnant person who is Black or Pacific Islander.
Huh.
And so $1,000 a month starting in the first trimester and lasting through 2 years postpartum. The city also launched a program in 2021 offering $1,000 per month for up to 18 months for any San Francisco artist that was adversely impacted by the pandemic. So I was looking at this and I was thinking this is really interesting because if you live in San Francisco and you are a Black transgender man who happens to get pregnant and was also working as an artist, you could then be given $3,200 a month.
Wow. That's
so
crazy.
But all you have to do is just check all those boxes. Use Black transgender man who becomes pregnant, formerly working as an artist in San Francisco. $3,200. Listen, this is insanity. This is insanity. Yes. I don't even know how people sit down and come up with this. You think about this. What are the ways that we can tranquilize people so that people do not want to work and do not believe that they should be expected to work? What are the ways that we can find victims, right? So that we can just shower them with this narcotic that is government assistance. But maybe that's a Monday show. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. Will the Great. Where are we going?
All right, let's go to Jacob in Arkansas. Hi, Jacob.
Hi. I guess I wanted to take the subject back to one of Miki's favorite conspiracy theories topics from a few months back, the moon landing.
Oh, Jacob. No, Jacob. Wait, buddy, Jacob, J-Money, buddy, come on, listen. Why do you want to do that? Now, I expect our listeners to be led by the Spirit, okay, Jacob? So I don't understand why you would want to go back, living in the past. Why are we... I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
You were talking about Disney yesterday, and, the people that don't believe in it think Disney was part of it. But anyway, it's something that I was thinking about that was not mentioned. I don't remember y'all mentioning that was, whenever you said, why would God allow us to if he did? And one of the things is the one of the biggest evidences that we have to an accurate biblical creation account comes from the moon landing. I mean, the space dust that was on the moon. I mean, there was tons of scientists that fully expected the astronauts to sink up to their knees or, sink even farther in the space dust. And then whenever they got up there really wasn't hardly any because they all agreed on how much space dust would collect on the moon each year. And, they were baffled why, but the creationist scientist was like, well, that's what we thought would be up there. That's exactly how much would be there per year if the Bible is accurate.
Now, that's very interesting.
I don't hear a lot about that, but that's one of the reasons that the boots that they wore were so big, because that was kind of their way to keep them from sinking, and they didn't end up needing them. And so that's one of the biggest evidences we have of showing a young earth creation.
That's very interesting. I've got to tell you, Jacob, I hadn't heard that as a defense for the biblical account of creation. So it sounds to me, based on what you're saying, what I'm taking away from that is that those who believed in a millions of years or whatever, billions of years they expected there to be a tremendous amount of moon dust. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes. And the Christian and secular scientists all pretty much agreed about the amount of how much per year was on there. Okay. And it was just a difference of 6,000 years worth of that accumulated versus millions of years.
Wow.
And it ended up being pretty accurate to the 6,000 years.
That's very interesting. I had not heard that before. Okay. That is interesting to consider and to put in depending on where people fall. Okay. Put in your defense set. Let me say this. I was kind of holding my breath. It's like one of those things where you're just like, I don't know what this is going to be about. But that wasn't too bad, actually. Now we don't know what's going to follow your calls. Okay, brother? Like we don't know what kind of present you've opened on this Friday here before the week of Thanksgiving.
Right.
That's gonna draw out of people, complaints and booing and hissing. We don't know what you've done, but what you have done directly is not too bad. That's not too bad. So thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. Will the Great, where do we go next?
All right, let's go to Daryl in Texas. Hi, Daryl.
Will and Mickey, hi. I don't know if I met y'all back in March in Huntsville. Okay. And I gave you I'm not trying to put in the plugs, but I gave you the caps and T-shirts you guys took pictures of.
Brother, yes. I remember you. Yes, sir.
I've been trying to speak with y'all for months, so I'll probably talk to y'all another 6 months. But anyway, nevertheless, listen, I got to say this, and then I'll get to my comment. Cookie Monster. I've been wanting to say Cookie Monster for all these months, too. Remember you referred to Will as Cookie Monster.
Yeah, when he lost his voice.
I had to get that one in. And this is what I want to share, man. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for your example. I want to keep it light. There's so much crazy stuff going on, but I'm excited. I got 8 grandkids, and I'm taking my granddaughter, 17 years old, to her first concert tonight, Matthew Whitaker, blind jazz pianist. And I'm so excited about that because I'm going to get to spend about 4 hours with her, and I just want to find out what's going on in her world, and just so I can be a better, so I can help her better as a grandfather, know how to pray, and just know how to help her navigate through some stuff that may be going on that I'm not aware of in her world.
Wow.
So thank y'all for the example, man, of loving each other, loving the family, and most of all, loving Jesus. And I'm glad to be in the foxhole, firing not from people firing down us, but we're on top of the hill and we're shooting down at them.
Come on. God bless you, Brother Daryl. Listen, that right there is grandparenting.
Man.
That's grandparenting as a verb, right? It's what you do, and understanding that is your posterity, that those people that you're entrusted with the gospel to pass on to them as well. That is incredible. I'm excited to hear even the thought, but that it's being put into action.
Yes.
The care for grandchildren on the part of their grandparents.
All hands
17
on
years
deck.
old. Yes.
That's right.
Absolutely. That's great. That's practical. And I think it's in many ways very helpful to other grandparents listening as well. So, Brother Daryl, thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. Will the Great, where are we going?
All right, let's go to Melissa in Alabama. Hi, Melissa.
Hey. First
Hello.
of all, thank y'all for everything that you do. Am I
God bless
online?
you.
Yes, you're on.
Yeah, go right ahead. Thank you so
sorry.
much.
Well, me and my family just got back from Disney a few weeks ago, and we were DVC members for 10 years, and we were just kind of this diehard Disney family,
Yeah.
But you can't escape it anymore. Like, I didn't let the kids watch the new movies and things that were controversial, but we went down there, and there are cast members that are male, dressed in dresses. Their uniform is a dress. And the amount of men wearing makeup that, you can't wear makeup and sport a beard at the same time.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
And so we were stuck answering questions of the kids that we didn't really even want to have to go there with little ones. And I didn't know that the parks were so infiltrated with the gays and the lesbians, but they were.
Wow.
And it was just really sad because it was a place for children, but the adults have kind of taken it over with the drinking around the world at Epcot. And then, there was groups of adults that had shirts that said happiest childless millennial, so these are people that are, they're It's crazy.
Melissa, let me ask you a question. Melissa, I really appreciate those comments, by the way. I appreciate you calling in. My question, a few questions. Number one, what's the ages of your children? Like, what age range do you have?
We have 7, 8, and then a 13-year-old.
Oh, good grief. And so you guys were recently at the theme park, I'm assuming down in Orlando?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And basically, my excuse was, oh, man, that poor guy, they ran out of uniforms for him. So they stuck him in a dress that, it must suck to be him, But it was crazy. And we actually, my husband, we came back home and we put our DVC up for sale and sold it within 48 hours.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So you're putting your foot down. Yeah, you're protecting your kids.
Yeah, we had to. It's gotten crazy, We weren't like super excited to even go, and the lines and the money. I mean, it's $9 for a hot dog by the pool. That's
man, and
insane.
I don't care where you are. Mince meat, in a casing on 2 pieces of bread should never be $9. I don't care where.
Exactly.
Wow. Wow. Well, Melissa, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing that. That is very eye-opening. I think so many parents are kind of living from the 1980s. Like, we're living from the time that we grew up in, where you had cast members and like, we just all agreed that children were innocent and their innocence should be protected. And these characters stayed in character. I mean, even simple questions you can remember. You're just asking, like, how can you find a bathroom? And they are cast members. Like, they stay in character. And you just, it was really sort of like it was just a fanciful experience that I think the sooner parents wake up to the death of that, the sooner you can mourn it and then just move on. It's not worth the innocence of our children. I'll tell you what I'd like to see. I'd like to see them maintain their theme parks with the happy childless millennials.
That's crazy.
Because it's interesting. Yeah, the happy childless millennials, they can afford to go to the theme parks. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But they are not. I mean, that was not your audience.
That's not the target audience.
That's not your target audience. Yeah. I'd like to see them maintain those theme parks just with the happy childless millennials, and just with those who are the sexually deviant, and just with those who want to get smashed in the presence of kids, and just with those who want to rob kids of their innocence. I'd like to see Disney be forced to sustain or maintain that business model. That's what I'd like to see. Am I going to see that? No, I don't think I'm going to see that. Why? Because there's some people who are just committed to entertainment. There are just some people who are just like, yeah, I know, but, right? Because in many ways, entertainment is an idol for us. And that's unfortunate, but I think, again, it's reality, or at least it's shown itself to be reality. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Will the Great, where are we headed?
All right, let's go to Chris in Ohio. Hi, Chris.
How you doing?
Hello.
Right.
Hey, I'm either going to get distracted and get offline, or I'll get very emotional. I think we as the church have been way too patient with Disney and all forms of entertainment. Whether it's sports and TV, we get so caught up, as you guys have been talking, like the need to be entertained. We don't even have any discernment as what we're allowing them to put in front of our eyes. We're supposed to be the body of Christ, and we're putting money into these things. We don't watch TV in our house anymore because the commercials are bad, but the shows are bad. And I guess
everything.
Where I'm getting at is where's our discernment?
That's right.
Where are we as body of Christ? This is our Lord. That's where our society's going, because our church is thinking about being entertained. We've been lulled to sleep. That's where our politics are going. We've been lulled to sleep. We don't even watch or pay attention to what the enemy's doing behind our back. And he's doing it right in front of us. Halftime shows at the Super Bowl and things like that. It's little things in movies, and we sit and we watch it and say, oh, that was a great movie except this. Why won't we sit through it? They're purposely putting this stuff in. They got kids shows that they're purposely putting stuff in and movies that don't belong.
Chris.
And I think it's our church that's, as a church, we're messed up.
Listen, I agree with you 110%. I mean, I could not agree with you more. And I think that you are touching on something that we must be willing in the body of Christ to explore. We have had these conversations with our kids, and I will tell you what they've said. And sometimes you don't want it to be so, but they've said, Mom, we understand that we're peculiar in the world, but they're like, why do we have to be peculiar even in the church? It's like, why do we have to be different among the different? And what we're trying to impress upon their heart is just this allegiance to Christ, that nothing in this world is worth compromising who he is and what he said. Man, Chris, thank you so much for your call. We'll grab the break and continue on the other side. Make sure you stay close.
AFA is no longer dependent on Facebook or YouTube to live stream our original programming. As of now, American Family Radio shows like Today's Issues, The Court, Airing the Addisons, and The Hamilton Corner are streaming live on the AFA streaming app. Independent live streaming is the next step as we come out from among them and separate ourselves unto the Lord. Search AFA Streaming or visit streaming.afa.net to sign up.
American Family Studios was started back in 2011 as a way to advance the Christian worldview into an increasingly media-rich culture.
Media is like such a powerful tool to communicate the gospel. I love writing stories, getting in my office, and just thinking, how can we portray this concept of who God's character is? And to get to use the gifts that God has given me is really a joy.
AmericanFamilyStudios.net.
With the crazy prices of gas, groceries, everything, we knew if we were going to have health care, we had to find a better option. And did we ever? We joined Medishare, more than 400,000 Christians who share each other's medical bills. For us, it's been a game changer. We can't believe how much we're saving, around $500 every month. That's like a $6,000 a year pay raise. Talk about some huge stress relief. And their customer service is awesome, helpful, personal. No wonder they get such great reviews. And the best part is, because Medishare isn't insurance, our money is never used for a medical choice or procedure we don't believe in. Medishare is healthcare that really works.
Call 833-44-BIBLE to find out how much you can save on your healthcare. Medishare. Call 833-44-BIBLE. That's 833-44-BIBLE.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
The credit card debt happened when my daughter was born. I was using one credit card account to roll over into another credit card account, and it was snowballing.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-788-1813.
When I first called Trinity, the representative understood the need based on the situation. They were great people to work with. From the first phone call that I made, they had me on a track to mitigate the credit card debt.
Trinity will consolidate your accounts into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands.
Working with Trinity gave me the ability to save thousands of dollars. My name's Doug, and thanks to Trinity, I'm debt-free for keeps.
Call Trinity at 1-800-788-1813. That's 1-800-788-1813.
Hey, don't get distracted by this earth. This place that we live for a small amount of time. These things we think we can take with us when we die. They don't last. Keep your eyes on the prize. Man, we looking around, but we gotta stay focused. This life about a moment. I don't wanna let it pass, I wanna own it. Look in the grass, you see the opponent? He wanna see you in chains, he wanna see you in the flame. But you're gonna be with the saints, you gotta go through all the pain. You living it now, but to die is a gain. I think about heaven a lot, and I'm gonna do it for God. And I'm not throwing the talent, I'm giving it all that I got. Look, I hope to see you in paradise. This ain't a
Welcome back to Airing the Addisons on American Family Radio. It's the Friday edition of Airing the Addisons. We take more of your calls. We engage a lot more. Hopefully we laugh a little bit more. We call it the Gumbo Show. Everything goes into the pot. So as was made obvious by our brother Jacob in Arkansas, we can go as far back as you want, even to the moon landing that didn't happen. As a joke, I was trying to meet people on both sides. The moon landing that didn't. I was just trying to meet anyways, welcome back to the program. I'm Miki.
And I'm Will, and that's Tyson James with Give It to God.
J Mac is also on tap, and D Youngblood. You have to say it that way. There's no other way to say it. The number 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. I want to say this before we go back to the phone lines. The Addisons will be on vacation all next week, but hopefully this is good news for you. There will be fresh shows next week. In fact, we just pre-recorded a show that will include video to air on Thanksgiving Day with two of our children, where we are discussing with them the sin of ingratitude. Yeah. So it'll be kind of a in studio with the kids. All four of us are in studio talking about this. So hopefully you can listen next week. There are some other shows that we've pre-recorded, but this one I'm especially proud of just because we get to hang out with our kids and have a conversation about being thankful and the sin of not being thankful. And that will air on Thanksgiving Day. So maybe don't pull away from the table. You know what I mean? And somebody's like, you don't know my family. Maybe do pull away. Maybe step away. Give
yourself a break.
Give yourself a break.
Oh, no. We want to. No, this is Thanksgiving. We're thankful for family and friends.
Can you imagine someone saying, man. Oh boy, I'm telling you, I'm going to get up here and I think the Addisons, is it 2? Yeah, I'll be back at 3 though, okay, y'all? Leave my plate right here.
Wow.
Only America. All right, back to the phone lines. 888-589-8840. Will the Great, where are we going?
Let's go to Karen in Texas. Hi, Karen.
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
Hello. Hi, Karen.
Hi. Hey, Miki. This is your old friend that I used to listen to I used to follow your recipes with Lauren.
Oh, wow.
But,
oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I know. I love you guys, and I've told y'all before I was a homeschool mom, and I wish I'd had y'all when I was homeschooling, but I homeschooled before computers.
Oh, wow. Come on.
I wish I had
Wonderful.
computers when I was homeschooling.
Yeah.
So anyway, I tried to get in yesterday. Daryl, I love you. God bless you. I'm praying for your evening tonight with your daughter.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Melissa, I mean, I'm cracking up, Miki, because I had a beta fish too. I've been on hold for a long time.
Oh,
I had a beta fish. I've done the whole thing. Ours was named Stanley.
Stanley
So,
the beta.
anyway.
How did he hold up? Was he strong?
Oh, he was strong, Miki, and it was because my husband would not have dogs, so I assumed a fish. I'd have it for a day, and then flush it down the toilet. I'm 64. That's what we did.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
In those days. But no, my beta fish, that beta fish that a neighbor bought for my son lived for like 3 years. And I'm like, I'm cleaning the tank out. I'm doing everything. I'm talking to the fish. So anyway, no, ours did well because Mama took care of him. But
right.
He lasted too long.
Right. So she said he lasted too long. Let me tell you though, see, this is just, and I feel like what you're sharing, Karen, let me tell you what this falls into the category. Remember how like our grandparents and great grandparents, they would say things like, you call that washing clothes? You just throw them in a machine. That's not washing. Washing is you got to go rake them down the washboard. And they would say, you guys don't wash. So I think when you start talking about homeschooling and you're like, I didn't have computers. So I think for what I do today, you'd be like, that's not homeschooling. that's home Googling.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And so the same thing with the fish. Today there are all of these neat little contraptions where you don't have to go to a lot of trouble to clean the tank. We have a tank here. It's a 1-gallon tank that has a little nozzle that you just turn it back behind and it drains the tank on its own. Like you don't, anyway, I feel like I'm cheating.
It's a moneymaker.
Yeah, you're right. It is. And it prolongs the life of the fish, which I don't know if that's a good thing. What I'm hearing from you is that it's not. So maybe.
No.
Anyway.
No, because once it's been alive for 3 years, then you get attached, right? So then it's like, oh, Stanley is floating. He's on his side. He's not.
Oh.
Anyway.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Karen, I'm already attached to Crusher. I just and I feel really great. You come clean. You're attached to because you check on him and you're like, oh, he's in the little helmet thing. Like he's got a personality.
We had fish before,
yeah, we did, we did. And I will tell you, like your story here, Karen, our story is very similar. We don't have a dog, and the kids really want a dog, and we've just said no over and over and over again. Some of our coworkers breed dogs and have shown us pictures, and I'm like, do not ever in the presence of my kid show me a picture like that.
I'm sorry.
It will mess us up, Anyway, go ahead, Karen. I cut you off.
I know. I love you guys so much, and God bless y'all. And I'm hoping to make it to Marriage Family Life Conference. I didn't go last year because I thought I couldn't go just as a grandmother, but I'm excited now.
Awesome.
So my question, just to kind of segue into that, is that I'm over with Disney. I'm done it. I mean, I grew up with the Frankie Avalon and the original Mickey Mouse Club, but I'm over it, and I have 3 grandchildren now under the age of 7, and I encourage my daughter not to do those things. I don't do it. But Nikki, just to try to talk about yesterday, I mean, so I'm boycotting the movies and everything, but how do I get away from buying any Disney stuff? Like, I'm a grandmother, so it's like anything I go into, it's like stickers or anything it's going to be some Disney product, even if I want to buy the paper. You know what I'm talking about? And I don't want to exaggerate, or expound. I think I know what you're talking, what I'm talking about. So how do I go from there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Karen, because one of the things that Will the Great and I were talking about is how, Disney, and Will, you were talking about this just this morning, Disney almost has tentacles everywhere, right? Like from the Marvel series to the sports network and just bought Hulu and all of these things. So it is difficult, to the point that you're making here, Karen, it is difficult to break away. But I will say this, and I think you understand what I mean when I say this. What it first begins with is a commitment, right? It begins with a commitment that I am not going to fund my own destruction. I'm not going to fund my own destruction, right? And so when I say that, then what that looks like is, as much as it depends on us. Now, I will say, the first shock of watching Disney say aloud, say that I am not going to pull back on this, to watch Disney leadership continually just dig in and to be more and more aggressive. It offends us so much. I'll just tell you, it offends us so much that even some of the existing T-shirts that our little kids had, we just couldn't wear them. Like you're kind of like, because it makes you feel like a billboard. It makes you feel like, and so what we settled on is, okay, these things are old. They've been handed down 3 times. And so you can sleep in that, but you're not wearing that out. And we're not buying any of the new stuff. And why? It's not because we feel like our one position is going to make a huge dent in Disney, but it's our principle. It's for us, it's the conviction that I'm not going to fund the destruction of my kids. I'm not going to fund someone's clearly stated agenda that is antithetical to the faith.
Right.
And so the result of that, if that's the beginning, if that's the starting point, then the result of that is that we start to notice things in different places where, we may not have to broadcast it, but we just say, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing Disney Plus. I'm not doing Hulu. I'm not doing, and surely you're not going to be able to eradicate everything. But in order to live, like our sister Melissa was just saying, we don't have to go to the theme park. It's not vital for life, and we don't have to go to their movies. I mean, when you've got production companies that actually change the movies that they run in China, they are protecting that population. They are protecting those young people. And indeed, China cares about its young people more than we do here in the U.S. because we don't really have high standards. We're just like, sure, but just leave it. But China's like, no, if you want to show your movie here, this has got to come out. This can't stay in. And you know what the production companies do, the movie companies? They take it out. And so the Chinese continue to fortify and strengthen their young people. They say, you can't watch these girly men on TV here in China. Now, look, I'm not advocating okay, for a type of Xi Jinping type of oversight. I'm not advocating for that. But can I say, in your little house, wherever you are, all across this country, you kind of are a leader, right? Like you.
Right.
I'm not saying that you guys are to be mini Xi Jinpings. That's not what I'm saying.
but lead. That's all.
Say that again?
I said, but lead. You
but
don't
lead.
Have to,
that's
have to
great.
Be,
yes.
Yeah.
Just lead. Just care.
As a believer.
And I think that's the way you start to see the changes. People just saying, you know what, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. I think what we haven't gotten to, and then I'll move on to the next caller. I think what we haven't gotten to is the genuine conviction that is our own. Like to have somebody else's conviction. Like somebody tells me, like I have a friend, I'll make a joke. I have a friend who, we sat down to eat and he was like, are you drinking a Diet Coke? I'm like, yeah. But why? Like, why are you drinking a Diet Coke? And I'm like, because I like it. But I don't understand. Why are you? And so in the moment, my conviction is like, oh, maybe I shouldn't drink this. I know it's not good. What's in there, But until it becomes my own conviction where I feel that way when no one's sitting opposite me, you understand what I'm saying? Then I'm going to keep drinking Diet Coke. Like I can say, aspartame, I shouldn't. I know, and that's bad, and it killed rats, and I know. But and this is I'm just being 100% honest, right? I can know that something is not good for me. But until the conviction is mine when no one else is looking, it doesn't matter. And we haven't gotten there for Disney. We are just, if someone were to, find out that we had Disney Plus or to know that we went to a theme park, we wouldn't want that kind of judgment. But that's not enough to really produce change. What really produces change is when all across the country, people are just like, no, absolutely not. We're not subjecting our kids to this. You cannot experiment on the hearts and minds of our children. And when we get there, we make lasting changes. That's my thought on that. Will the Great, I don't know. Did I leave anything?
No,
Did I leave anything out?
No, you didn't.
That's all, folks. All right. Let's go back to the phone lines. Will the Great, where are we headed?
Let's go to Angela in Virginia. Hi, Angela.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi. I just want to tell you what a great week of programming, and I also wanted to touch on the Disney conversation.
Sure.
The very first time that I was convicted in that way was when AFA put out an action alert a few years ago on Target because of their transgender bathroom policies. And I remember hearing it in the car and just was overwhelmed that I could not support that. But when I got home and I opened up the computer and it was time to sign the position, like I just had this panic. And I thought, man, am I going to be able to buy groceries for my family? Am I going to be able to buy Christmas presents? All this, this like doubt that can I really make this commitment? But you know what? Little girls were getting hurt, and I thought that could be my little girl, and I'm going to sign it, and I did. And this miracle happened afterwards. I saved hundreds and hundreds of dollars for my family almost immediately. But it felt so good. Even if my one signature didn't make a difference for that chain, it made a difference for God, and He provided. He just filled that space that idol, was taking up. And when it came time to get rid of Netflix, it was almost joyful to be able to say, God, I can do this for you, and to tear that off. So I just want to encourage people. I want to say, you know what? If you're just grieving over, what that loss of Disney might mean in your life, just get rid of it and just watch what God is going to do to honor that decision. Because if you're doing it because you love the Lord, He's going to bless that so beautifully. And you know what? Maybe we won't always know if we buy a pack of gum if it supports Disney, but God knows that our heart is clean in that. And I think that's the biggest blessing. So just thank you guys for bringing that up.
Wow. Oh, Angela, that is so beautifully stated. Yeah. Everything you just said is so beautifully stated. Yeah. Like I can I so connect with what you just said. Like I remember that we're not shopping at Target anymore. I remember that feeling of like, it's a feeling of loss because these are our habits. These are the things that we're very accustomed to doing. And just as you said with the Netflix thing, like, and I remember Will the Great saying, there can't be anything in this world that we cannot give up. I remember him saying that, no, there can't be anything that has a hold on us. And I wish that there were more believers who were able to develop that kind of conviction that there is nothing in this world that has a hold on us. Amen. It cannot have us. This is not our home. All right, we are out of time. Great calls today, by the way. Thanks so much to all of our listeners. Until Monday, great fresh show for you. Okay, until Monday, Lord willing.
God bless.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American